Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Kenneth Price on Sunday, March 6th. Let's see who I've got in the Zoom room. I'm here with Greg and I'm here with Beloved, and we are going to record our 67th Sunday morning Zoom call for psychiatricsobriety.com. And this has been recorded for YouTube for about 1 hour. Who am I? What do we do? Who am I? What do I do? Who are we? What do we do? We come here once a week, every Sunday morning. Beloved, you're kind of flipping in and out. Something's going crazy with your screen. Zoom technology. We come here every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we unwind ourselves from our mental illnesses. I pre-qualify myself. I am a walking, talking miracle because I was on handfuls and handfuls and handfuls of pills for 25 years, given out by psychiatrists. To ameliorate the chemical imbalance theory, many years ago, I sort of had a come to God moment, and I said, "There's got to be a better way." Long story short, I'm completely free of all pills today, and I started this ministry about 1.5 years ago to share with others how I did it, and it's been attracting others who have all related to my testimony, and we come together once a week and we support each other. We're not religious, but I do have to put it under the guise of a ministry because all of us have pretty much come to the same conclusion. We got out of the psychiatric madness by grace and a lot of hard work, tons of faith, and all these components. That's what we come here once a week to do. We just share all these components because the narrative that had me so frightened to leave that system was that I'd be on these pills for the rest of my life. I had a chemical imbalance and I didn't know how to get off the pills. And so I started this ministry because I saw a vacuum. There's got to be a way to support others off of these pharmaceuticals. I've been a 12-stepper for my entire life, and people have just been going to 12-step meetings to get off of alcohol. So why not one of these for pharmaceuticals? Now that I've said all that, I've got to throw in as many disclaimers as possible because getting off these pharmaceuticals is really serious. And I say this every single time for harm reduction purposes. We're not telling anyone they need to get off pills, and we're not going to help anyone get off pills. That is way over our level of understanding. We'll share with you how we did ours. And we'll pray that by putting out a ministry like this, someday there will be an actual safety network just for that purpose. But we've got to create the model now, and this is my contribution. This is the model that worked for me. This is my contribution. So please don't misunderstand us and think that we are here to help you get off the pills. What we're here to do is to help. This is how we did ours. We're here to anchor a higher truth. We're here to anchor a higher power. We're here to anchor love. We're here to support each other. And when I started doing that, the pills, I didn't quit the pills. The pills began to quit me. But I've put all that into videos and all sorts of different pieces of information. So I just want to compartmentalize and be as honest as possible. All right, 67th Zoom call. I start each one of these off with the healer's prayer because this is not a class. This is a joining, a greater joining, and it's ministry. Because I'm not a Christian, but there's a man 2,000 years ago who said it all, and I'm not reinventing the wheel. And so I start off every one of these with the prayer. It's called the healer's prayer, which comes from the Course in Miracles. Mm-hmm. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or do because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes because we know that he or she goes there with us, and we will be healed as we let others teach us. No, we will be healed as we let him or her teach us how to heal. So I'm having a really rough day, folks, but I'm aware. I just want to share with you, I'm having a rough day because I'm watching the voice in my head. Do you remember the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Never saw it.
The last scene in the movie, John Nash is an old man. He's about ready to win the Nobel Prize. And I think somebody comes up to him and says, have the voices stopped? And he says, no, just don't pay attention to them anymore. So I'm practicing, my own medicine this morning. I'm just watching the voices. The voices are just right now, they're telling me all sorts of things that are creating feelings. They want to create fear. In other words, what they want to do is they want to derail my awakening. We all know by now that once we start awakening, the ego is actually going to get louder. I had a very wise therapist years ago who kind of took me aside. She introduced me to the Course in Miracles, and she says, kiddo, I was in my 30s, so she could call me kiddo. She said, kiddo, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Darkest before the dawn. So, but this is, listen, I'm honored and privileged to be witnessing my own ego trying to derail my awakening. Because, in the word of Christianity, Satan, get thee behind me. I blabbed on for 7 minutes. Jody, Greg, beloved, ¿cómo está todo? and Greg, I wanted, I don't know if I recorded this. Greg, thank you for the donation. That means a lot. I want to preface to say, I'm not, in need of money. I still have money in savings. But the donation keeps me from having to dip into savings, and it's also a way to express that this support contains value to you. So thank you. All right, who wants to? How's everyone? Where is it?
Good. I was wondering can we see you again, beloved? Could you try?
Yeah, you were going into some sort of cyberspace there. It was kind of cool.
There we go. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what that was. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
There it goes.
Yeah, it started when Zoom updated, and I just found out yesterday when I was on a Zoom call, and so I haven't addressed it. So bye, but I'm here.
You're being hacked by the global elite because they know that your light is shining, so they're trying to derail you too.
Oh, well, that's not encouraging, Lord child.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I've been listening to too much David Wilcock.
Oh, I've heard that name, but I'm not really familiar. Jody, go for it. I saw you were ready to jump in there and.
I think it would be great. Thank you, beloved. I think it would be great to touch on what Kenneth just said there about watching the thoughts. It's a big part of the healing journey, I think, is to recognize that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind our thoughts.
If a person can get that, just get it. Well, we don't just get it. You got to practice it. Hey, we got a newcomer on here, Eddie.
This is my friend Eddie.
Oh, hi, Eddie.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to
Hi, Eddie. He's still connecting to audio. He can't hear us yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's a whole topic that we can get into, and it's such a deep rabbit hole. We can understand it at an intellectual level, but to just understand it at an intellectual level is not enough. We have to become it.
And I think, we have heard all these wonderful things, and it's so true, but how do we do it? This is it, because I'm a big hower, because I wasn't on pills. So I had to do something else, because whether we're on pills or not, we're still dealing with the same thing of why we got on the fucking pills in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. Which reminds me, when I just said that, I thought about Tina getting in the fucking car. We should do another show.
Tina.
Oh, she's here with us.
I know. I'm laughing because she's just so funny. Yeah. But so we have to. And I had listened to this channeling this morning, and I just want to share it. And it was, you have to slow down. Slow the fuck down. Stop. Still your mind. Mm-hmm. So that means you got to slow down enough for your mind to get quiet. Oh my goodness. That's a lot. And do one thing at a time. How hard is that? I do so 20 things at a time. For women, we do. For us women, wow.
Women,
so valuable.
What? It's hard.
I think women are the queens of multitasking. I think we are so used to doing 3,000 things at one time. I more than you dudes. I'm just saying that. It's probably not right, but that's what I think. And do everything with intention and attention. Oh my goodness. get up for the day, and they say, get up and set your attention for the day. I mean, these are things I have to practice because I was going down that rabbit hole that Jody just said. I was getting ready to dip because I'm in a whole different, a whole different dream now. And all the fears that come with the whole change, that scary word that you didn't plan, that you didn't see. And now you know where the fuck do I go? I don't have a plan for this dream. I don't have a map for this dream. So what do? Flop around and get depressed? No, I can't afford to do that. I done did that. So that's what happens. You find another way. You still got to deal with your problems, whatever else you're taking, or you know what I'm saying? We still have life. Life is still here. And I have to is self-love I'm calling discipline. Make sure I do it. I slow down. I just eat. I put the tablet down, the phone, we all know those things. So I just wanted to really, I'm about really applying what we talk about here, because otherwise, where's your tools? What's gonna help you? The pills were your tools. Now we want to trade them in. I want to trade in my craziness for a tool that works. My crazy tool, that was my tool. My crazy was my tool, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, Raina, I'm so glad you always bring up, like, one, I'm so glad you're in this group, but you bring such a different perspective because you haven't, been on pills and coming off of pills. And I always really appreciate your reminder that, once we get off the pills, we still have life to deal with. It sounds so simple, but I think I often trick myself into thinking that once I'm through this withdrawal journey, I'll be, somehow done with it, or there'll be some, perfection on the other side of this this mountain we're climbing. But no, you're right. It's just you're slowly trading, not really a tool, maybe a crutch, right? It wasn't really a tool for dealing with things. These pills, they were just kind of numbing and moving us through life. But now we're trading that for new tools that I think will better connect us with life, and trying to just really embrace it all. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to kind of, shift that mindset. But anyway, Raina, I just wanted to say thank you. You just you have a way of grounding me.
Well, I'm
thank
so
you.
happy. You're welcome. And it's for me, this is all of us sharing our wisdom, and this is what's pulling and so just so we don't, because I thought I would be better once I got skinny and whatever was I thought fitness was going to cure me. So I was a fitness fanatic. So you can overuse anything and it don't work. I mean, until you get the right thing anyways. And the right thing is the inside. And they had channeled something that I thought about you, Greg, and I wanted to read it to you. It said, one thing, don't allow yourself to go to places that are hard to get out of. And we all know where that place is, don't we? We all know where that place is, that if we indulge in that thought system, we know we're going to have a hard fucking time getting out of it. Okay, anyways, where is it? It was such a wonderful thing because it was, nothing should stand in the way of your inner guidance. That was for Greg. Nothing should stand in the way of your inner guidance, your inner knowing, your ultimate awareness. Bam. It's all on us, right? 100% responsibility. You are the knower. No one, we're not here to tell you something you don't already know.
Right.
All of us are resonating with the truth. It's just coming through me because we did the healer's prayer, and we practice A Course in Miracles, and we want to channel from love. And these are loving words that's telling us we do have it. We can. We have our inner guidance. And if inner guidance have brought all y'all here to hear us say, if this is your time to get off of whatever it is, and really even more, what not to do, what is we're here to do. We're here to embrace life. We're here to open up. We're here to change, be vulnerable. Work with our minds, work with our inner selves, work with our higher, that's what we're here for, not what not to do. So, that's the upliftment here.
Okay, thank you. One thing else too, beloved, you taught me, I think you mentioned this, Most people don't know this. You're a researcher, aren't you, beloved?
I'm not a researcher, but I research for me. Yes. So
Yeah. Well, I thought about this is that, you know, there's not a lot of, you know, cures in allopathic. There's no, since there's no clinical trials done, you have to do a lot of research yourself, you know, and
well,
help.
there's,
You have to,
you mean for my particular bipolar, is that what you're talking about?
well, or whatever it is, you know, there's not much effort that has been put in with allopathic as far as cure and as far as actual healing. So I've learned that you have to do that for yourself.
Absolutely. I don't think that's what their intention is.
Yeah, right.
Because if you tell me you don't know what caused it
Uh-huh.
and you don't have a cure, but
Uh-huh.
all you can do is treat it. I don't even understand that logic. That makes no sense to me. It
Yeah,
still
you said
doesn't make
that. You
sense
said
to me.
you heard that bipolar was, you didn't know what it was or how it was caused, but yeah.
They told me that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to continue after they said that. I'm like, oh, you fucking
Yeah.
experimenting on me?
Yeah.
You know, you mean this is forever?
Uh-huh.
You're going to be damaged forever? And then we
Yeah.
have Kenneth sitting here,
Mhm.
you know, you're not damaged. Look at him. So beautiful with your yellow background.
I love the yellow.
I do too. It's
It
good.
looks like yellow cream or something.
Ah,
Oh, that's pretty
Oh yeah,
blue.
what's the swatch, Kenneth?
that's
What do we
nice.
got there?
Canary
Canary
diamond. Nice.
Ah, okay.
Very nice color.
I mean, I could just go on a diatribe with that one. You know, it was the indoctrination. It was the indoctrination of public schools, you know, teacher, we don't need no education. You know, I mean, there was a lot of truth to that song. They took a bright and shining and beautiful little boy and told him to sit down, stop drawing those beautiful, he was talented and he was skilled and they said, you know art, reading, writing, and arithmetic, learn algebra and history. And so, I mean, it's time, you know, to bring that, you know, I'm not here to bash public education, but I am here to say it's time to bring out that artwork and go back to what that little boy truly did want to do and was feeling in his heart. And it means, you know, that we have to, beloved said, guidance. I'm guided to play. It's safe to come out now. As long as I'm holding that, you know, even after public education, I still kept that little boy trapped inside, you know, at his desk doing algebra. I was doing it to myself. I had the belief that, and again, we talk a lot about beliefs. You know, I was, the key to my own prison was right in my hand. All I had to do was stand up and unlock the door and go out in the sun. That's what I'm encouraging everyone to do. It's safe to come out of the dungeon, of the darkness, and go out into the light now. And I think, you know, beloved would agree. I know everyone else would agree. You know, the mental illness stories are choosing. And I just want to give everybody, they're a very viscous narrative. And they're being upheld by a lot of this allopathy. And I'm here to say none of mine were true. None of them. Guys, it's safe to come out now. We can all go home. There's no book. No, it's the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Ah, shucks. I'm just a funky old man. You pulled my cover. You guys. But we all gotta take the risk to see, is it true for me? Now I gotta be careful with that because, you know, that doesn't mean I'm gonna go off all my meds. You know, we're not dealing at the level of meds. I don't even want to talk about meds. We're dealing at the level of beliefs here. You know, let's address maybe that's what this ministry ought to do. you know, at the very beginning, I didn't know what to do with this ministry. So you can see some of the early Zoom calls were way off the map. You know, get me off my pills, get me off my pills. But now I've learned, I don't even want to discuss pills. We want to work at the level of beliefs and all this important spiritual stuff. And I want to see what happens with your pills. I just want to see what happens. I'm just curious. Mine, mine were no longer necessary. It's very careful. I've got to be very careful because, there are taper schedules, which just if you're interested in that, go to all my disclaimers first. So, I don't harm anyone.
Can I ask you a question about creativity? Because I remember in one meeting you shared that when you were coming off your pills, you felt at one point really disconnected from your creativity. Right. And even maybe feared that it would never come back. And I don't know if you remember sharing that, and I hope that I'm accurate in bringing that up, but I've been feeling that a lot lately. And it's very scary because it feels like an aspect of myself is like missing or disconnected, and it kind of comes and goes. So I try to trust that it'll come back. Mm-hmm. But maybe I'm just kind of thinking in that linear healing mode where as I come off the pills, if anything, my creativity should rise, right? Because I'm connecting to myself and I'm removing these blockages. But lately, like the last number of months, especially, I just feel so disconnected in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious if anyone has insight on that. And again, maybe it's just that spiral of healing. Yeah. Jody, I see you kind of, does this resonate with you?
You asked Kenneth, so I think we should give Kenneth the opportunity, and then I definitely have something to share as well.
Well, I don't want to hog the whole Zoom, so I'm just going to add my 2 cents. My creativity came back stronger than ever, Chris. There was a downtime, and that was the time of faith. But when it came back, whoa, there you go. I hope that got some encouragement. Jody, your turn. Your turn, Jody.
I would remind you that life happens in phases and to ride this wave. What is truly you can never be taken away. What is truly yours will never go away. So just ride the wave and know that you're on a journey.
It's who you are cannot be, what was it you said, Kenneth? Who you are cannot be what?
Oh, the whole ministry started in August 2021. Who you are cannot be damaged. Boom, yeah. Suddenly a ministry. Yeah. I mean, isn't that the narrative going around? I've been damaged, I've been damaged, I've been damaged. Well, that's all this, dungeon narrative. Let's get out in the sun and find the new narrative. Who we are cannot be damaged. This is just very basic fundamentals in mystical circles, but I'm bringing the mysticism into the communities that will benefit most by the message. And I get to be the messenger because I, was on those pills for so long, on so many for so long. Chris, the downtime was another rite of passage. It's kind of like this, I had to say, God, I'm willing, you could even have my creativity, God. If it be in your, will that I never pick up another tool, that I never pick up another art pen, I am willing. And God said, well, as long as you're willing, that's all I ask. Boom, I'm going to give your creativity back tenfold. But it was the willingness, and it was frightening. And that, that's the template that I still to this day have to practice over and over and over. I have to be willing to let go of everything to be given. I have to be willing to let go of my belief in everything so that I can be given everything. That may sound kind of, I don't know if that was a direct answer to your question, but I hope it points you towards, something very empowering. I see in you, Chris. I mean, go back to these Zoom calls in a couple of years, you're going to say, who was that guy?
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. No, thank you both. That's very encouraging. Let me share fear with y'all in hopes of letting it go. You know, I've been on these pills since I was 10 years old. So the fear, the voice of doubt says that connection to your creativity, who knows, did I ever have it? Was it the pills? Was it this or that? It lies to me, and it says, you know, it compares, I compare myself to some ideal other, you know, someone who was very creative. They were put on pills. The pills restricted their creativity, and then through the hard journey of withdrawal, they came off the pills and they reconnected with their creativity. You know, hear what I'm saying? Like the self-doubt says, you know, you were on it so early, you never got to figure out who you were. And so you spent 25 years in this kind of drug space, figuring things out and navigating the best I can. But now that I've removed it, I feel that's the fear. That's the fear.
What's the fear? I mean, that.
Oh, can I address that? Because Chris,
Yeah.
oh my God, you have just, I think you found the topic of the Zoom call. You're always doing that for us, by the way. Thank you. All right. Here's where it goes back to our original, you know, with Jody. Notice. That's your ego voice. We've all got one. We're going to come here and we're going to uncover it. And my ego voice is so gravitic. It's determined to get me back on that timeline. And Beloved's going to jump on this one, horizontal versus vertical. The ego wants us on a horizontal timeline, past and future, past and future. That's the mental illness. The ego is the mental illness. So perfect. You just shared it. The ego is going to go back and say, this is the ego loves the stories because the stories keep us trapped in the matrix, where the ego can feed off of us. It's a parasite, So it's gonna, and we come here to uncover the parasite. This is the antibiotic. This is the vaccination for the parasite. Is to come and share, just like you did beautifully. The ego's telling me this story. It's saying I've been on this. Someone's got some background noise. It's saying I've been on this pill for so many years, and let's analyze. The ego loves to analyze itself. And we come here to notice and to discover this analysis, which goes from analysis, in our case, to paralysis. So we're going to look at that because listen, this is a support group. My ego does the exact same thing, back and forward, and a ping pong ball. And this is where the practice comes in. Jody's going like this, by the way. Is I'm not saying, now we gotta stop it. All we have to do is notice it and allow it. And that's what the antiseptic and the antibiotic and the vaccination looks like. Notice what it's doing. And that is a martial arts technique. We're meeting it where it's at, and it's becoming disarmament. This is where a lot of these communities are trying to, in allopathy, in its, paradigm wants to combat it. And the more we combat the ego, the mental illness, the stickier it gets. And so this is a martial arts technique to simply allow it to be there, give it space, and notice that it's going to go, it's going to disappear. It will come back in a different form because it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. But we're masters at this. And the biggest narrative that's going around this community are the pills did this to me, the pills did this to me. That wasn't true in my story. I was doing it to me. But because the narrative of the medically injured community is so heavy, I couldn't buy that narrative. I said, this can't be about the pills.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Truly, folks, if you could hear anything that I say, this is not about brain chemistry. And that's another false narrative. That turned out to be another false narrative in my story. I'm getting this from Jody, so now it's her turn. On your mark, get set, go. I'm always putting you on the spot, Jody, because you were on the, Jody and I have a similar story. You know, we were so, you know, far down. I mean, Chris, compared to us, you know, you've got a cakewalk. Jody and I went very far down that rabbit hole. And if Jody wants to either jump in, or I'd just love to hear from Eddie. That appears that Eddie was Jody's friend. I think he's cleared up his audio now. Eddie, do you want to jump into this? We're about halfway into the Zoom call. We're recording it for YouTube. Jody said she invited you. You can just stay silent if you want. A lot of people just want to listen in. That was my diatribe. That's my gift to this community, is to share with you guys. None of it turned out to be true in my story, and it's the message. This is how.
And I do want to go deeper into that, Chris, because there's a lot of power there. When you learn to recognize that voice, that's not you. It's the fear. It's your ego. It's your mind. There's a lot of different ways, got a lot of different language around it. But the important thing to know is that you become aware that there's that voice. You create space. You breathe into it. You notice. You watch. You listen. You don't judge. And this is what Byron Katie does. This is the work. We question. With love and compassion, we question that voice. We question the fear. And if you want to go deeper into that, give me a call. Let me know. Let's do it. I'd be very happy.
I heard. Go ahead.
Do all of that kind of stuff. That's a big part of what I do as a transformational coach, is to help people to recognize this is what's going on. This is how you, I don't want to say fix it, because there's nothing wrong, but this is how you go through. Byron Katie calls it the work. It's an amazingly powerful process to become aware and to question.
That's great. Thanks, Jody. And
You're
Kenneth, really appreciate it.
I heard Ram Dass. You know Ram Dass? Do y'all know him? I heard him say, he said he was doing a psychedelics workshop and everything, and somebody was doing psychedelics, and they were having a bad trip, and they called him. This person called him, and he says, "I'm going crazy. I think I'm going to die. I've got to kill myself." And he said to her, he said, "Could you tell the person that called me that I would like to speak to her, because she sounds very reasonable?" And I thought that was so funny. And yeah, I thought that was a good example. Yeah.
One of the benefits of that I found from psychedelics, there are many benefits, but I've even still more disclaimers, is I was very shown for a brief moment that I was not that voice in the head. I saw who I was. There's the truth, and then there's this chattering voice that is attached to this brain. But let me go even deeper than that. My teacher, I can't wait till the archive comes out from last week's online retreat where he addressed the issue with mental illness.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm so anxious because his basic response. Let's see if I can get it right. Oh shoot! It just sort of left me. He goes so deep, but in order to recover from this, we've got to go deep. He said, "You can't be ill. You can't be ill. It's just impossible." As a matter of fact, he said, "You can't die either." And since he's a spiritual teacher, he will take you through the steps. Like Katie has her modality to take you through the steps. But is that sinking in at all? I know right now it may sound like a lot of woo-woo, but the thing I love about this, Chris, and everyone else who comes on this, and anybody who watches, you're open to this. You're open and willing. It was not inside of our worldview in that public education, that told me to sit down at that desk. They had no container for this. So this is brand new territory for us, but because of this gift called withdrawal and emergence, from psychiatry, we have become willing. because there is no safety net in the current narrative that can help us. Perfect. No one wants to be in the current narrative in 2023. You want to be in the new narratives, in the new, I don't know if you want to call them narratives, paradigm. Jody's going to say something. Jody, about ready to touch on that.
I'm just bringing myself down. I'm so excited about this conversation. I have to do some breath work here. That's what I'm doing. Just bringing myself down.
Well, you guys got to pick up the slack, because remember, I can only go so far. And even when I start to talk like this, my ego starts. You should. Did you guys see the movie Inside Out? That Pixar Disney cartoon. Perfect movie, because this movie was all about. They actually put cartoon characters to symbolize all of the different archetypes taking place in our head. You have the
devil,
critic.
the angel.
Excuse me. Yeah,
The devil and the angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have got to notice that we have in the 12 steps it was called the committee, and that pretty much described it. If we believe the voices in our head, of course we're going to take psych meds. Of course we're going to pick up a drink. Of course we're going to look for sex. We got to get anything to get away from these voices in our head.
Or go into depression, or
Thank
you know
you.
what I'm saying? I mean, that's what happens.
Mhm.
And what I found, and I didn't know who I was. So I thought I didn't realize that I was feeding my fear that I was a terrorist, but I wasn't, that there was an I and a me. And so, just knowing that I am creativity, I am love. All that other stuff was just covered. You understand? So, like Kenneth said, what you are can't be touched. That's what we're talking about here. We are creativity. We are everything God is. We are everything our Creator is. The other thing that we thought we made, I'm just going to say it, we made our ego. I perfectly tailored my ego to be my own terrorist. And the ego's innocent. It's fighting for its life, because we wanted to be this body down here doing our thing on planet Earth, and bam, we don't need no God. Or, I know everything. I can run my life. So it's really, I had to know I am creative. I am what I am. And then all that other stuff, those are the not me's.
Yeah. I think one time Kenneth said something like, it changed my perspective a little bit. You said you thought you had been abused. You said, and I guess
in that paradigm, yes. In that narrative.
I've been able to let go of a lot of bitterness because I don't know. I guess I just realized it doesn't have so much power over me anymore, and that it was really, it was, I guess you could say, a narrative. It was a belief that this had happened and that had happened, and I've kind of realized that, and it's not just so much what happened. It's the way you see it, the way you perceive all this. So, I don't know. I think I shared with you one time with y'all. I was in London, and I was meeting with a woman who had been through the what was it, Auschwitz and everything. And I met her and I saw her, and when I was talking to her, I realized, after seeing a play that was about her and what all she had gone through, she was walking around and she was smiling, and it just blew me away. So I think, so much about, I think she was a therapist or something. So it really does depend on attitude in your relationship with what happened. I think Carl Jung, in Tarot, there's a 3-card spread, past, present, and future. And it says the past influences the present, and the present influences the past. But I think you determine the way that happens. You determine, it's not so much necessarily that it didn't happen, but I think your attitude towards what happened is that's the most important thing, That's what can keep you trapped or set you free, you know, and I've tried to realize that all this stuff that I think I've gone through is over, and that you know, I've made it. It's taken me a second to realize that, you know, all these things that happened didn't, you know, I can choose how I can feel about all this. And it's taken, I'm trying to unwind it a little bit, and I'm seeing that I'm talking about this stuff in the past more, you know, but
The title of Katie's book, and you're getting claps from Jody. The title of Katie, one of her books, is "Who Would You Be Without That Story?"
yeah.
And she doesn't tell you to drop the story. She just asks. She just invited you to ask the question. And you know, usually it's I don't know, but I'm willing, and I look forward to, and you know, we notice that I'm not reinventing the wheel. Everything that comes from this ministry the last year and a half, you know, it came from Byron Katie. I went and saw her in 2016, gave her a big hug and said thank you.
That's powerful, though. Think about that, Greg. Who would you be without that story? If you couldn't even remember that, if you couldn't remember shit, and you just found yourself sitting on a couch one day and looking in the mirror, and you couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
Imagine. I mean, it's a really stunning thought to sit with.
Well, you know, I've actually been happy most of my life, and I realize that I think it's more about attitude. I was in the midst of being abused emotionally, and I was happy. It's very, you know, or I thought I was abused, maybe. But yeah.
I was a happy kid, and I was in a miserable environment, but I was happy.
Yeah,
But it, you know, but it's still, I think it's just like, I love that, you know, we're looking at it, because when I stopped telling my sad story so much, and then I can't even tell it anymore because it wasn't true. And that's the hard part, because you believe it happened. I believe my abuse happened. And and on the 3D level, let's say it did. And where's my power in that? Where does that mean I'm just a victim? I could never, just like I couldn't accept that I have an illness, that you're telling me I have some mental illness that you say you don't know what caused it and there's no cure. I couldn't accept that. You know. I just lost my thought.
Oh. Yeah.
Greg, this is the earmark of maturity. You know, the way to become an adult is to drop the stories of who we believe we are.
100%. That was it. I had to take 100. I had to see what my part was in it. If I couldn't add mom and dad and brothers and all those other characters, and I only had me, and this is a hard part, because it calls for 100%, and you don't have to be honest to the whole world, but you do have to be 100% honest to you.
Right.
You can't have no little smidgen of lie there. And that, the ego doesn't like that. The ego doesn't want to be exposed. But spirit says it's okay, because your love, it didn't damage you. It was just who you thought you was trying to be. It was some kind of, it really, you see what I'm saying? So that's the important thing, is just to know you can. The stories really, they're just entertainment purposes. I use them for entertain and lesson purposes, really. I share them to say, and look at it, but just like that woman did that you met. I mean, that it blows me away. I have a therapist, and her story, when she just casually dropped it, I was like, you know, how can I even feel like a victim compared, you know, terrorists, you know? But then I say, her great setup. We all have our great setup. It's a great setup so that we can think we're victims and the world's against us and God doesn't love us and we're down here alone and cut off and slopping around. You know, that's the ego's story. That's what keeps us in misery and fear. So until we can disconnect from that, and it's a child, you know, I'm not saying, like Ken said, don't fight the ego. I'm a type G person. I know you redirect, you know, you never want to do a heart block.
Well, that really did strike me when I was studying the Holocaust when I was in London. I remember I saw her, and then I also saw another guy who had been through. I think he was through the Holocaust. He walked around and he wore that the green prison suit that he wore with the yellow star on it. And he walked around and he was so depressed. And I'm not saying that, he should get over being in Auschwitz, but I just saw two different people that did two different things, And
Wow.
yeah. I think one thing that helped me is I took pine for guilt, a buck remedy, pine, and I took willow for self-pity. And then I took another one recently that keeps you from the looping thoughts in the past, the obsessive thoughts. And I think I'm seeing the effects of that too. But
And that's so awesome that you even recognize those looping thoughts, the things that you just, that is the miracle. You see what I'm saying? Because if I didn't even notice I was killing myself. I didn't even notice I was torturing myself. I was doing it. The past, you're right, is the past. They're all dead. They can't even touch me now. So what is going on here? Who's the real terror? Who's allowing? And it's mind training. Just like physical body training, you gotta rein it in. No, ain't going down there.
And can I ask you, Chris, was your fear, what was the fear that you were thinking of timeline, and what, I know it's creativity you're afraid you lost, but why do you think you lost it exactly? I didn't pick up on that.
I don't know if I know, even listening to this fear voice, I don't even know if it has an explanation for the why. Why is it gone? I think it's more so just, I feel as though it's gone for right now. And I think in a way it is, it almost feels like another symptom or something, but just like a lot of the symptoms, it's like my reaction to it, the spiraling, the fear, the trying to tell myself the future. What also comes along with that fear, it's like your creativity is gone and so are the good times. From here on out, it's just going to be downhill. That's what the voice says. It's just so destructive and fanning the flames of fear.
Chris, if I can jump in, that voice, according to the world, is a problem. According to a mystic, it's an indication that you're getting very close to something the ego does not want you to find, which is the what do you call it? The Holy Grail. The closer we get to the Holy Grail, the louder the ego. See, this is a very closely guarded secret, which has kept so many people from waking up, because they think when the voice gets louder, it's a problem. According to a mystic, when the voice gets louder, you're honing in on something very powerful. But it's also the time of great courage, and I know you're going to do it. I'm excited for it. That's why I said earlier, give it a couple of years and go back if the YouTube is still up. And say, oh my God, who was that Chris back then?
No, you're not going to say you're going to have compassion. That's what we're all going to have. We're going to have compassion as we see our stages of growth or whatever you want to call our journey. Let's say our journeys, our joy journeys here. We're not here to say, oh, look at how crazy I was. I mean, I can say it. I don't take it personal, but we're not making fun of anybody. Because we all been there. We all are our own personal terrorists. No one can terrorize me like I can. I'm gonna tell you, y'all can't, because y'all don't know my personal particular fears my ego built up for me to keep me. And like Kenneth says, I'm gonna tell you, it's fighting for its life. Every time you get closer to seeing what's going on, it fights for its life. And you really have to it's a dark night of soul. Let's just say it. It can take you through that dark night of soul again when you thought you couldn't get there. And it is a spiral, but it just won't be as terrible as it was. It's never been as terrible as it was for me. But even though I feel my down times is still not on this level of down. It is a better, if that makes any sense.
I'm always using movies because I'm a student of David Hoffmeister, and he uses movies. What was it? It was either Lord of the Rings. It's the Battle of Mordor. And you know, remember the final scene in the movie. Never underestimate a hobbit. We're all hobbits. We think we're small and puny, and we think ain't true because we carry, you know.
Did y'all ever see the end? I think it was Lord of the Rings. I think it was the third one. Have y'all seen that where the king, he becomes stronger at the end, and like some sort of spell overcomes him, leaves? I don't know, but I kind of think that when I think of benzo withdrawal.
The king that's cursed, right? He's cursed.
Right,
he
right.
looks sickly and old, and yeah.
I think of that as coming off the medications, and as that curse overcomes him, he becomes strong again. And I don't know, y'all might want to watch that. The end of Lord of the Rings 3. It's a beautiful scene. You know, somebody told me that before detox. A friend of mine, he told me, he says, watch that. He said, that's what's going to happen to you.
You know, there's something.
One of the things you said to me too is the soul thawing out. I think that's true too.
Metaphors that work. You know, that's why I love the movies, because these well-written, you know, trilogies are just full of nuggets that we can use. You know, because we've got to unwind all of these indoctrinated narratives, and these quality movies have given us great tools to help us. You know, all this ministry is about is tools, resources, and testimonies. And there was something you said earlier, Chris. You know, I didn't take my first pill until I was 22 or 23. But truly, it wasn't until I got off my growth had been arrested. I had developed mental trauma. I mean, by the time I took the pills, my growth, you know, had been. I had never passed through some of these, you know, 4, 5, 6-year-old phases. Probably. I don't want to, you know, make it all complicated. It all came back. I went through that, you know. I went through those all that development in my 50s. So I really am not going to let this. That's another thing I get to do with this ministry, is to be a little bit, a little bit didactic. Is it's never too late. I mean, this, late is enough. If you want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes, I mean, even the word late is an ego. An ego is egoic.
Okay.
So it was in my 50s that I began to come online, and I'm still coming online. But this is what it looks like. This is the face of a man who was comatose. I mean, I could function in society, but as far as spiritual, I was spiritually comatose. And without the spiritual, if it doesn't come from the inside out, we're dead. I'm sorry. We can function. We can get jobs. We can pay health insurance. We can put on the mask and know all the appropriate things to say. But unless it's coming from that place, we're dead. This is about coming back to life. Life is, what is life? Does anybody want to pick up on this? I'm starting to preach. Jody! Last 5 minutes.
Life is so fucking amazing. Life is magical. We are fucking magic. So my world has been totally flipped upside down this week. I listened to The Disappearance of the Universe, and then I listened to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And all of my old paradigms, a lot of my old paradigms have been shattered. And I can tell you from my just recent experience that once we let go of our limiting beliefs, those things that hold us back, there's nothing holding us back. And it is limitless. It's fucking amazing. I'm in shock and awe again. What is life? Life is what you make of it. And back in the day when I was living in hell, That used to piss me off. People would tell me life is what you make of it. And that just brought up all of my anger because I was living in this hell that I didn't know that I had created.
Okay.
So yeah, life is what you make of it. And there's so many things that we can do to transform this hell that we create for ourselves. Hell is happening right here, right now for some people, and so is heaven. And we get to choose.
Mm-mm.
You know what? There is no way that I could possibly top that, and it's no accident that it came in 57 minutes past the hour. So, Jody, I don't know if Jody's doing this. Either Jody or Chris, gave me the label for the Zoom call, but I've got to go back to this archive. You guys are just my saviors on a Sunday morning, Sunday, March 5th, for our 67th Zoom call for psychiatricsobriety.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want participation. We're kind of in an idle mode here. We are just, I get the sense that this message that we are anchoring is on the tarmac, but the control tower hasn't given us clearance to go full throttle and actually take off. I'm excited. I've been here with my mighty companions, Jody, Beloved, Chris, and Greg. And we had another call come in, but he couldn't, capture a connection. So if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below, but even more than the comments, please, please, please join us on a Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. God bless. Thank you, and may the force be with you.